In the 2007 movie The Lookout, the character played by Jeff Daniels tells another character, "Everything is a story. Stories help us make sense of the world." Welcome to the next installment of Crucify Your Mind, a metaphysical interpretation of the final week of Jesus' life through the lens of the lyrics of the songs Crucify by Tori Amos and Crucify Your Mind by Detroit's own Rodriguez. My name is Michael Capato, and I'm a Unity New Thought minister in Detroit. Every year during this special week, people from around the globe, from every walk of life and faith persuasion, bear witness to one of the most deeply profound, moving, and significant stories in our collective history. The story of Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem, his confrontation with and by the religious leaders of the land, his ultimate betrayal, the final intimate moments with his disciples, his arrest, his trial and crucifixion, and ultimately his glorious resurrection, to me compresses every other of Jesus' teachings into one intense cramming session for the disciples and for us as well. I've said it many times, probably as long as I've been a minister, that if the Gospels are the textbook for spiritual living, then the story of Holy Week is the Cliff Notes version, or maybe the executive summary. I believe wholeheartedly that this story is not only about Jesus, but us too. I believe it helps us to make sense of our world as well. That is why, for good reason, we call it the greatest story ever told. And so, as Saturday dawns, Jesus' body rests in the tomb. Guards have been stationed there to keep watch to make sure that the disciples don't steal it. As Scripture tells us, as his body was taken away, the women from Galilee followed and saw the tomb where his body was placed. Then they went home and prepared spices and ointments to anoint his body. But by the time they were finished, the Sabbath had begun, so they rested as required by law. Saturday in Jewish tradition is the Sabbath, so it was against the law of the land for the women to return to the tomb to ready his body. Gospel writers leap from, "Now they put his body in the tomb and it was sealed," to "early on the third day." It's only later when they tell the resurrection story that they double back to images of fear and locked doors. So not much more is known about what was happening on that day. For many, if you weren't a Jesus person, if you were just a regular Jew, it was just another Sabbath. And for the Romans, detached there was another Saturni Dias of patrolling and looking out for trouble. For the women who would come to the tomb the next day, Holy Saturday was a day of rest and preparation within their hearts. The oils and spices were finished. That job was done for now. Next came the tears. Saturday is the forgotten day amidst Holy Week. Christians remember the institution of the Eucharist, the washing of feet, and the betrayal of Judas on Holy Thursday, the brutality of Jesus' suffering on Good Friday, and the empty tomb on Easter. Holy Saturday often remains in the shadows. Good Friday is tainted with murder, darkness, defeat, and mayhem. And Easter morning brings the symbols of new life, the shockingly bright Easter lily in contrast to the blood Jesus shed. But in the psyche, the Saturday between often feels dingy and gray. The Catholic churches I used to attend would strip the altar of everything right after the 3 p.m. Good Friday service. No flowers, vestments, candles, or other paraphernalia would remain. The door to the tabernacle would be left open to show that it was empty, that nothing was there. No candles would be lit. The few lights left on cast a dull gray pallor throughout the interior. The atmosphere suggested death, absence, a certain barrenness. For most of us, Saturday is that non-day between the death and life events of Easter weekend. It's the ugly stepchild no one really talks or thinks about. Holy Week harassed preachers put Jesus in the tomb Friday night and think, "Lucky guy, gets 3 days to just lie around while I prepare my sermon for Super Bowl Sunday." And yes, we call it Super Bowl Sunday. And then I have to fight the crowds at the store so I can have something for dinner tomorrow after. It's often the first chance to catch our breath in a packed week to play catch up. But if we do manage to take a moment to contemplate amidst last-minute preparations, we may manage to feel the same heaviness that those who knew and loved Jesus were feeling millennia ago, as they mourned in hidden fear through the seemingly endless Sabbath day, waiting for the new day to dawn so they could complete the burial process and pay their respects, not knowing what miracle was about to befall them. But as I've said all week, the story of Holy Week isn't just the story of Jesus, it's our story as well. It's about the crossing out of old ways of thinking and being, getting rid of dysfunctional coping mechanisms, be they internal or external, and learning to connect more deeply with our inner divinity. So as such, even what seems like such a non-day contains within it metaphysical significance. Charles Fillmore wrote, "The 3 days Jesus was in the tomb represent the 3 steps in overcoming error. First, non-resistance. Second, the taking on of divine activity or receiving the will of God. Third, the assimilation and fulfillment of the divine will." To me, Holy Saturday symbolizes the time between despair and the dawn of hope. Holy Saturday teaches us most about our humanity. We're in a familiar time and place between darkness and light, destruction and renewal. Our life's journey is not made mostly of Good Fridays, nor do we live out our days basking in the radiant joy of Resurrection Sundays. Mostly, it seems to me, our lives are lived here in the restless Holy Saturday, where joy and sorrow, bondage and liberation, life and death tangle. Between our desire to run around and get stuff done on our day off, and to just chill and recover from the work week. Holy Saturday is about in-between times. The ancient Druids are said to have taken a special interest in in-between things like mistletoe, which is neither quite a plant nor a tree, and mist, which is neither quite a rain nor air, and dreams, which are neither quite being awake nor asleep. They believed that in such things as those they were able to glimpse the mystery of the 2 worlds at once. Holy Saturday is existing between 2 states of being. This morning, as I was contemplating the meaning of today for me and wondering if I would even have anything to do a video on, I was reminded of an image in nature that aptly symbolizes this day, and by inference, the state that we probably dwell in more than any other: the cocoon. I've often thought of the story of the turning from the humble caterpillar to the glorious butterfly to be a perfect metaphor for our transformation process. The New Thought writer Emmett Fox wrote, "To me, the butterfly teaches the most important lesson we human beings ever have to learn. You all know the story. He lived what seemed a very long time as a worm, what we call the humble caterpillar. Now, the life of a caterpillar could be taken as a very type and symbol of restriction. He lives on a green leaf in the forest, and this is all he knows. Then one day the little caterpillar finds a certain strange stirrings going on within himself. That old green leaf for some reason no longer seems sufficient. He becomes moody and discontent. He feels the need for a bigger, finer, and more interesting life. His instincts tell him that where there is true desire, there must be fulfillment. So the caterpillar goes into a deep, dark, scary place where he's never been before. A place where he could conceivably die. And so, a wonderful thing happens. The butterfly emerges beautiful, graceful, now endowed with wings. And instead of crawling about on a restrictive leaf, he soars above the forest itself, free, unrestricted, his own true self. The cocoon state is a fascinating metaphor, I think, for this Holy Saturday moment. The place where we're no longer earthbound caterpillars, nor are we yet high-soaring butterflies either. It is a place between the old and the soon-to-be new, the place between death and renewed life. It is the transition point, the holding pattern where we are no longer a prisoner of our old earthbound intellectual ways of thinking and being, nor have we yet achieved that full Christ consciousness where we turn everything over in a spirit. I think this just might be the place we exist at most of the time, the in-between. And in that space between problem and solution, we may experience the same sorrow and fear the disciples and the waiting women felt on this holy day. And we may even grieve for the dying past, or we may be impatient for the coming miracle, the solution to the problem at hand. Regardless, restlessness is a natural feeling during in-between times. Of this in-between place, the poet Catherine Simmons wrote, "Deep beneath the chatter of the world, enveloped in a rich, pregnant silence, immutable power winds its way through the spaces between. You'll know it, because you felt it, and you'll know the discomfort between this and that. When you're feeling lost and fidgety, tune in. I am your ghostwriter. I am your unseen. I am the instigator, the presence in your being. You are incandescent in your own blackened wasteland, strewn with soot and chaff, bold as brass among the silverware, like broken shards of light upon the glass. Discomfort is a hallowed bunion of pithiness and point. Our most painful, unbearable bits are the best way in, if we'd only stop and sit. Listen to the language of the heart, sit with it. A vast and ancient wilderness, fierce as the seven seas and tender as a mother's arms. Space is full of magic, power, and light. A vibrancy that lifts our stature, fills our bones, a shortcut to delight. Don't rush into thoughts, but sit down in your soul. Let your body do the talking. Feel all the messages it brings. Are they feelings of joy and peace, tingling and ease, or perhaps a sagging sorrow? Frustration? Hope for tomorrow? Setting into confidence that holds your heart in place as though suspended from a force that's far greater from within. For greater than flesh and bone and far from commonplace. You might feel, I'm not quite here or there, but in between, somewhere. I've got nothing or too much to do and no place to go, or something isn't quite right with my soul. You'll have to sit and face the void. Face your fidgeting, your fussing, and your feelings. Face the lot. We're so used to filling space that we lose the simplicity of each moment's grace. Confidence grows with awareness, and that's the magic within. The power of presence herein found in the spaces in between. Holy Saturday spirituality is for in-between times, which I think are the times that we exist in the most. And by that virtue alone, that makes this a holy day among holy days. And with that, we'll leave it there for today. If you're liking these videos, please like and share them. I'm not doing these to sell a book, nor am I asking for money. I'm doing these to help you all find some peace and joy during these trying days, and to hopefully give you some ideas and tools and share some approaches to spirituality and religion that you may not be hip to, that may help you on your own spiritual journey. And above all, I want to help make this sacred week more meaningful, more personal for you. So, until tomorrow, may you and yours feel the loving presence of the God of your understanding. Goodbye. I suck at this one. I hate this part. I can never do a good ending. I stand there like an idiot.